Morning, everybody. Just woke up. It's gonna be a great day. Cause I'm gonna make it a great day, damn it. Cause I'm brave. I can tough this shitty world, right? Well, it's not a shitty world, but that seems to be how the outlook a lot of people have. And that brings to mind a thought that I just had while I was in the kitchen and grabbed my coffee, and I thought, why do we dislike cowards so much? You know? And these are the questions that pop into my mind all the time. Not, oh no, the world is this way, or oh man, the world's that way. But why is the world this way or that way? Because ultimately, the questions we ask, we either get answers or don't. But complaining about shit does nothing. No good. So, I think having a very positive outlook on life is important. But at the same time, sometimes we're going to have a negative view on the way people act and behave. It doesn't mean that you have to cheer people on when they're doing stupid things. So you find that balance where you can live your life in peace and harmony, but when conflict arises, you can deal with it. And that led me to think about people who are cowards, who are fearful. And I thought, you would think that in a society we would actually feel sorry or feel pity for people who are cowards. But we don't. We put them down. And I know that there is a little bit of pity. There are certain situations where people are afraid of something because of something that's happened in their past that maybe they can't control, a very intense thing that maybe really messed them up mentally and made them afraid to do anything. Those are the exceptions to the rule. Generally, people who are cowards have never really had a whole lot bad happen to them because of the fact that they're cowards and because they're afraid to stick their neck out. And when I say coward, I'm not trying to be insulting to anyone who's fearful or scared in life. We're all scared. What I'm saying is to man up and realize that we're all scared. And when you look at the rest of the world and you think, oh, these people have it figured out, well, I'm just scared, I can't be like them. That's nonsense. I grew up, I don't even remember a lot of my childhood when I was really young, but I do remember enough of the things I did when I was, say, between the ages of 9 and 15 to realize I was a pretty stupid kid. I did some pretty stupid things. I was afraid to take risks, but at the same time I would take unnecessary risks and do stupid things. Because I was young and I didn't know better. And what I'm saying is that using that history to fall back on by saying this happened when I was a kid or this happened when I was a young adult, it's nonsense. We need to get past it and just be brave. Because ultimately, the only thing you have to lose is your life. And that is one of the, I guess that would be the ultimate fear for people for not wanting to stick their neck out. Now, I am not saying that if a person is fearful about a situation, that makes them a coward, okay? And a good example for this would be the military. If the draft was still going on and you were drafted to go to the military, or even if you volunteered and just realized later you didn't want to, it doesn't matter. You're out there on the battlefield, you're shooting, you're scared. In that situation, a soldier might run and hide. Now, in the military, this would be the ultimate coward, the soldier who runs and hides while his brothers are fighting. But this is a little bit more complicated because the person who is running and hiding is doing so to protect their own life, of course, which seems selfish, which means that's a coward behavior. But at the same time, maybe the person realized that what they thought they were sacrificing themselves for is not really necessary. In other words, many of the soldiers that went into Iraq, it's a good example, came back and said we do not belong there, that we shouldn't be there. But we were told that it's okay to go there. So I'm trying to use this as an example to see how cowardice does pop up in legitimate circumstances. The cowards I'm talking about are the ones who are afraid to not just take action in their own lives, but afraid to speak up in a group of people when something is not right. These are the cowards that bother me and that I think society needs to address. And it goes back to rewarding people for their proper behaviors. We don't give enough pats on the back for people when they do the right thing. We're always there to pick at people when they do the wrong thing. And that's what makes people scared to act out. If I'm in a group of 10 people and they're all talking about a political view that I don't agree with, I have no problem speaking up and being the one guy that everybody goes, you don't know what you're talking about. Because I would rather go from the heart and say what I truly feel than to just go along with the crowd to try to fit in. I've never been the kind of guy who wants to fit in. I fit in with other people who don't fit in, okay? And that's a philosopher's way. They will always get hassled and harassed by people for thinking about situations that should be obvious to them. In other words, why even think and wonder about this when it's just so obvious? It's right in front of your face, and you're like, but it's not. Things are always more complex. If you look deep enough, you will always find a deeper complexity in things. So I think that we shame the cowards in society, not because of the things that they haven't done, but because of the chances they haven't taken, while we have taken so many. You stick your neck out, you try for a job you don't think you'll get, and you happen to get it, or you go down the wrong trail in hopes that it might get you there quicker, and you end up finding a shortcut. You go the wrong way and you might end up getting lost. And bravery is something that takes us to new places in our lives, and ultimately the only thing we can lose is our lives and health. And you know what? We're going to die anyway. And once you look at it this way, I mean, in my life it's been very helpful to say, when you hear, would you rather live to be a ripe old 100 years old and never take any chances, or die when you're 80 and get out there and experience life? And when I was younger, I used to say, I want to live to be over 100. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't care how old I live to be. I care how rich my life is and how enjoyable it is. And that takes away a lot of the fear. So I think that this is something that a lot of people can relate to. I'm sure everybody has somebody in their life who is always complaining. And another aspect of this is the coward. It's hard to use that. Is that the semantics around the word. Another cowardice type action that I'm referring to is those who seem to always dismiss themselves, put themselves down with the low self-esteem, not because they truly believe it, but because it's a defensive mechanism. And when you say, hey, let's go do this, they say, oh, this could happen and this could happen, and they're just afraid to live. They're afraid to live life because of what they've been told, and or what they've told themselves. So that's my opinion on it, and have a great day, everybody.